So I took a DNA test, and it wasn't surprising for me at all, but I'm sure it's going to be surprising for you. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Liz. I was born and raised in a small Siberian town with a giant hole in the middle of it. And since Siberia is a part of Russia, I am Siberian and I'm Russian. So let's see what being Siberian actually means. Based on my results, I am 3 types of people. 80% is Asian and 17% is something else, which I'm gonna tell you about in the end of this video, so stick with me. I'm surprised that it's 2 types of Asian. Like, I'm very confused how they divide it into 2 groups. And they are even named very similar to each other. North Asia, Mongolia, which I knew already, and you probably did too. I am Buryat Mongolian, Mongolians who live in Russia. And it's like 60% of me, and 20% of me is Northern Asia, which is also kind of expected because I am Native Siberian, and I'm sure there's so many different types of blood flowing in me. But I have a problem about being Asian and doing DNA tests. What I noticed is that when you're Asian, you don't get much from this test, to be honest. When I was taking it, I knew it's gonna say something like Northern Asia or East Asia. 80% of me, just 2 types of people. While in comparison, if I was white, if I was European, I would have like at least 15 types of people. Like when you're Italian, you would get like 5 types of Italy. If you're a Sicilian, they would say you're a Sicilian. So let's look at the map and see the difference between how big Siberia is, how big Northern Asia is, and how small all the European regions are comparing to this. So why the hell I'm only 2 types of people? Another example is India. The other day I was watching a video of an Indian woman who took the test with her American husband. And she was like 80% Indian, while he was like 15 different types of people. And again, look how huge India is. And just a reminder, there are like 1.5 billion people living in India. So saying you're like 80% of Indian is like saying you're 100% on Earth or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get why this is like that. There's no enough data points here and there. The population density in North Asia is very low compared to European countries. There are not a lot of people who took a DNA test from this part of the world. But honestly, I'm just so jealous. So to all my Asian folks out there, wait another 20 years until we get more DNA and then take a test. These are charts of my parents, and my mom is 100% Mongolian, Central Asia, and Northern Asia. Then my dad is like 60% same thing, but around 30% is something different. And that's how I got 17% of my secret ingredient. So I'm sure a part of you is like, she's just Russian. Why is she making a huge deal about it? Because she said she was Russian, she looks kind of mixed, so it makes sense, but it's not Russian. The reason I say I'm Russian is because I was born and raised there, and like dozens of generations of my family was born and raised in Russia. And I made a whole video about why I am Russian, what makes me Russian. Some of us have blonde hair and blue eyes, others don't. So check it out if you want to learn more. And let's go back to my 17%. First of all, I don't know why it is 17%, because I expected to see 12.5%, because my father should be like 25%. I am 12.5% Jew. The reason I never advertised that I am partially Jew is because it was never a part of my life. It was never a part of my personality. Like, my parents would joke about it, but no one ever was serious. I grew up being Buryat Mongolian, and I grew up in Yakutia, which is a very different region of Russia, but still Siberia. Not European, not Middle Eastern at all. The slide is crazy, gorgeous. It's probably because I'm talking about being Jew. And just like a couple of years ago, we finally accepted the fact that we're partially Jew. Not because we don't like Jews, just because it was never part of our lives. And my father's father was not a part of my family. And I'm not even sure if he's alive or not anymore. I think he's not. It's a very interesting experience when you grow up thinking you're one thing and then you realize that you're also another thing. And it's fun. Also, during my whole life, I was always getting things like, you're mixed, you're not real Asian, something is in you, you're probably Russian or something. Some people say it to humiliate, others people say it to please me, and I don't like both of these things because I love a part of me that is Asian. And now I'm learning to love a part of me that is Jewish. It's just fun. It's fun to be a mix of multiple things. And as I was saying before in my videos, that I love being part of many cultures. I grew up in Siberia, but I'm Russian, and I've been living in the US for the last almost 6 years. So I am constantly observing so many things. And now a part of me is Jew. Now you're probably wondering, why the hell Jew person would go to Siberia and marry to a Siberian guy or a girl. My great-grandmother was Ashkenazi Jew, which is basically Russian or Ukrainian or East European Jews. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a historian, and I know very little about it. I just know that there is a huge population of Jews in East European countries, that my great-grandmother was from somewhere in Ukraine. And yeah, she got married to a Buryat Mongolian or Siberian guy. Well, now I feel like you know more about me than anyone in the world except for my family. And a final fun part about taking DNA tests. The whole idea of taking DNA tests is to find your cousins and to learn more about your family and heritage. And what I'm seeing is mostly either all the Siberians who ever took this test, or all the Ashkenazi Jews who basically live anywhere in the world. So the reason I think there is any Siberian who ever took this test is that I see some people that I know that are not related to me. One of them is Evgenia Arbugayeva. She's a photographer for National Geographic. She is also a director who was nominated for Oscar last year. It's just fun to see her there. And that ancestry is basically giving me all the Siberians that ever took a test. She is Sakha or Yakut, and I'm not. We're of different ethnicities. We're both from Siberia. And then the Jews, as you know, there are Jews everywhere in the world. And I see some cousins live in Australia, in the US, or in Canada, and it's fun, but I don't feel like we're really related. I mean, how excited it would be to find a real cousin. It's $100 for a test, and I think it was fun enough for me and for my parents, like very entertaining, not super insightful if you know enough about your family, not super insightful if you're Asian, but it can be pretty fun. It's also worth mentioning that there are so many different types of DNA tests, and you might just pick a different one to see different results. But I don't think I'm gonna do this because I don't think I will learn anything more than what I got already. So here I am, 80% Asian, 17% Ashkenazi Jew, born and raised in Siberia, living in the US. And if you watched all the way to this point, make sure to subscribe.